Welcome back, guys. In this lecture, let's quickly discuss about different ways of creating the arrays programmatically. Okay, so let's get into it. So earlier, how we used to create the arrays, like we used literal syntax, right? Like these square brackets we use, and then we write our elements like so, right? And then we store them in some variable. So let arr equals to this, or like maybe we have wrote something like this as well with an array constructor, something like this, new array, and then here we might have passed all these elements. Okay, so these are the normal ways of creating the arrays. But what if you want to create the array programmatically? You don't want to hard code these values. You want to create all these elements programmatically. How we can do that? But before that, let's just quickly console log like what we are getting in this one. And I think you might have guessed it already because we are going to get the same thing, but in an array, right? Okay. So yeah, here we are getting a normal array which we have implemented here using this array constructor function. Okay. So now what if I let me just quickly create a new one. Okay. Let's name it as array 3. Okay. So now what if I just pass 6 in it, and then like if I console log it, what do you think will happen? Okay, so I'm not going to console log it now. If you want, you can pause this video right here and you can take a guess like what should happen. So most of you guys might think like it will create an array with just one element and the value of that element will be 6, right? But that is not the case. So it will create an array of 6 empty spaces if you pass a single argument in it, if you pass a single value in it. Okay, it will consider it to create the empty spaces. Okay, it will consider it to create the length of the array. Okay, with the empty spaces. So as you can see, we are getting an array. Okay, that too with 6 empty spaces here. Okay, and that is what you guys have to be careful on, right? Because you guys might get confused like why after passing this 6 I'm not getting that 6 here, but I'm getting something weird. Okay, so this thing you guys have to keep in mind while working with the array function constructor. Okay, so yeah, now let's try to fill this array with the map method. Okay, so I'll use the array 3 and then map. So I'll pass a callback function, and then let's say I want to fill it with 2. In every iteration on every position, I want to fill it with 2. Okay, so let's quickly log it. Okay, so now as you can see, it is not working at all, right? So map is not that much useful if you are creating an array with this new function constructor. Okay, with this array, with this implementation basically. Okay, so there is one method which can help you filling the array if you have implemented that in this way. Okay, and that is fill method. Okay, so let's see how we can use it. Okay, so array 3 dot fill. Okay, and here we can pass the value whichever we want the array to get filled with. Okay, let's use 3. Let's just fill the array with 3 in all the positions. Okay, and then let's just quickly log it. Okay, so now our array got filled with 3 in all the positions. Okay, so this fill method we can make use of to fill our array dynamically, and this fill method works something like similar to slice method. Okay, so it have some properties which are similar to slice method. That is why I was mentioning like it works somewhere similar to slice method. And let me show you what I mean by that. Let's say you want to fill the array only at position 0, 1, 2 and 3. So how we can do that? I want to fill the element, I want to fill the array with the value 3 but only from the index 2, and I want to fill 2 and second and third position. So I'll pass 4 because it is going to ignore 4. So it will fill only second and third position. Same like slice. Okay. There we used to pass some element, some value, and then the start index and end index we used to pass there, right? If you remember from one of the previous lectures. Okay. So same way, I want to fill this 3 in the array, but only starting from the index number 2, but before the index number 4. Because if we pass 4, then it will not consider 4, it will consider 4 minus 1, that is 3. Okay. So that is how we are getting these 3 filled in the second and third position. So here we have 2 spaces left, and then after this 3 we have 2 spaces left. The array was filled with like, the array contains 6 empty spaces in which we have filled 2 spaces. Okay, we have filled 2 positions. Okay, so this is how you can make use of fill method. Okay, and let me show you one more example. Let's say you want to fill it with second index onwards, then you can simply remove the last argument which we have passed, and then as you can see, from the second index onwards it have filled our array with 3. Okay, so this we can make use like if you want to fill the array with a single number, right? But now let me show you how we can create this array programmatically, because here we have seen like we are filling 3 in all the empty spaces, right? Which I don't think is that much useful for you guys. So let me show you another way of creating array with these values like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 programmatically. Okay, so for that we will use array dot from. Okay, and you have to keep in mind I'm not using this new keyword here. Okay, I'm directly using this array function constructor, and there directly I'm calling this from method. Okay, and if you guys are getting confused with the new keyword, this function constructor what I'm mentioning, then all your doubts will get cleared in the object oriented programming section. So just bear with me till that section. Okay, all these things we are going to discuss there. Okay, so all you need to understand right now is we are not using new keyword, we are directly using this constructor, array constructor. Okay, and there we are calling this from method. Okay, so here in the first parameter, first argument, we will pass an object, and then here we specify the length, like what length we want the array to be. Okay, so let's create it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's create it for 6 positions. Like let's pass the length as 6. Okay, so let's quickly log it parallelly. Okay, so then we can see what is happening in each step. Okay, so now we have an array with 6 empty spaces. Right now we haven't passed anything, that's why it is coming as undefined. Okay, it is different from this one because here you will get empty spaces. With that you cannot do anything, but here you are getting undefined. So here if you want to use map, you can use map as well. Let me show you quickly. Let arr4, and then let me just copy it or just cut it. Okay, so if I want to use dot map, and then I'll pass a callback function. Let's see what happens. If I want to return 4, then we are getting an array with 4 filled in all the positions. Okay, so this is something useful for us, right? It is not like this one where we cannot use map at all. Okay, here we can use map because we are not getting empty spaces, we are getting the undefined value, like we are getting some values in every position. Okay, which we can replace with the new value using map. Okay, so let's now see how we can call this thing directly inside of this array from. Okay, so that is what we are going to do now. We have to pass this callback function as the second argument. Okay, let's just copy it from here and then let's paste it here. So now we don't need this separate map function at all. If you log it array4 directly, then again you will get the same result. Okay, so in the first parameter, in the first argument, we have passed length inside an object, and then in the second parameter we have passed the callback function with the value which we want to get filled in every position. Okay, so now I told you like we are going to create array with these elements programmatically, right? So for that we would require the index of the element. Okay, because if you see, it is 1 2 3 4 5 6, it is increasing on every position, right? So let's create that, and for that in our callback function we have two parameters available. Okay, those are current element and then the current index. Okay, so current element we are not going to use at all. So what we can do, we can make use of a convention which we have seen in one of the previous lectures, which is throw away variable. Okay, we use it to show that like we are not using this variable at all. Okay, so that is why we have named it as a throwaway variable. Okay, now this is something which we are going to make use of. So the array, as you know by now, like array is 0 based, right? So it will start from 0. So what we have to do, we have to use index plus 1. So it will start from 1 2 3 4 5 6. That means 0 plus 1 1, 1 plus 1 2, and so on. Okay, now we will get an array which will be filled with the numbers, values, we can say something like this. So let's just quickly log it. Here we need to use 5, and then as you can see, we started getting our array which we have filled programmatically, right? Which we have created programmatically. And why I'm showing you guys these things, like how we can create the arrays programmatically, because in some situations you might require to like create the array programmatically, right? Because not in every scenario you guys will create the array like these. Okay, like these normal arrays. You guys might face some situations like where you have to create the arrays programmatically, and there this will be a lifesaver for you guys. Okay, so I think like this one you guys should refer, because this one is way more cleaner than using this new function constructor and then filling it with the fill method, because it looks not that much clean. And this is just a single line of code, right? And you can fill it with whatever logic you want. Let's say you want to store some random numbers on every position. That also you can try. You can play around with it, right? So this is how we can create the arrays programmatically. So this is it for this lecture, guys. See you in the next one.